That feeling, you probably know it well, that knot tightening in your stomach, maybe just a subtle unease that sometimes swells into a full-blown storm of racing thoughts.
Yeah.
It's anxiety, isn't it? And gosh, in today's world, it feels almost universal sometimes.
It really does.
Yeah.
And it's a deeply human experience. The triggers might change, with the times, but that fundamental struggle, it's been with us for, centuries.
Absolutely. And that's exactly what we're diving into today. We're looking at how faith, specifically drawing on that timeless wisdom you find in biblical examples, spiritual principles, how it can offer a real anchor.
An anchor, yeah.
Yeah.
In the middle of that anxious storm.
Right. Think of it like finding, practical, enduring guidance for a very modern problem.
Precisely. We're exploring how looking through a spiritual lens can help us understand these feelings, maybe navigate them a bit better, offering not just comfort, but actual steps.
Actionable steps, grounded in faith.
Exactly.
So our goal today really is to unpack how faith can give us tangible ways to maybe lessen anxiety's grip. We're not, promising instant cures,
No.
but looking for that deeper sense of peace, that practical wisdom that these teachings offer. Okay, so let's get into it. One of the first things that often comes up, and I think it's comforting, is that feeling anxious doesn't mean you're somehow, failing at faith.
Oh, that's such a vital point. There's this common misconception, isn't there, that anxiety equals a lack of faith.
Right.
But the reality is anxiety is just, it's part of being human. Even people with really deep spiritual convictions experience it. We think about the disciples.
Oh, yeah, in the boat?
Exactly.
Right.
On the lake with Jesus, this furious squall comes up. These guys had seen miracles. They were literally with Jesus.
You'd think they'd be cool as cucumbers.
You would. But no, the waves are crashing, threatening to swamp the boat, and their first reaction, pure terror.
They really thought they were going down, crying out, "Don't you care if we drown?"
It just shows, doesn't it, how anxiety can spike even when, logically, you might have reason to feel secure. Often it comes from, focusing too much on the future, that uncertain future.
Yeah, trying to control things.
Trying to control outcomes that ultimately are just not in our hands.
That makes sense.
And from a faith perspective, a lot of this battle really happens inside our own minds. That's where the fear and doubt can really take root and feel incredibly strong.
Okay, so if having anxiety isn't necessarily a sign of weak faith, what kind of guidance can we find, say, in the Bible for navigating these turbulent feelings? Let's look at some examples. That story of Jesus calming the storm.
Yeah.
Wow.
Mark's account is so vivid, isn't it? You can almost feel the
Just
spread.
like boat rocking.
Hear wind, and Jesus, he's asleep through it all.
Amazing.
And the disciples' panic is it jumps off the page. But what's really insightful is Jesus' question after he calms the storm.
Right, he says.
Why are you so afraid? Have you still no faith? It wasn't the storm itself, you see. It was their lack of trust in him, right there with them.
So faith isn't about never having storms.
No, it's about how we respond during the storms. It gives us a different way to face them.
It's like their fear made the storm seem even worse, even though peace itself was right there in the boat. Okay, then there's that teaching in Matthew, really powerful, where Jesus tells us not to be anxious about, the basics. Food, drink, clothes.
Matthew 6, yes. Verses 25 and 34. It's such a shift in perspective.
He really is.
Jesus points to nature, doesn't he? Look at the birds, they don't sow or reap, yet they're fed. Look at the lilies. Solomon in all his glory wasn't dressed like them.
Beautiful imagery.
And his point is, if God takes such intricate care of birds and flowers, how much more will he care for people, for us?
Because we're his creation.
Exactly. And the core message there is about staying present. Each day has enough trouble of its own. Don't borrow trouble from tomorrow.
It's so easy to get caught up in those what-ifs, isn't it? Usually the negative ones.
Absolutely. We project all these worries onto a future that might never happen. Focusing on today, just this moment, is incredibly grounding.
It really is. And then Philippians 4, verses 6 and 7, this feels almost like a direct instruction manual for anxiety.
It's often called that, yeah. Do not be anxious about anything. Quite a statement.
It is. But in every situation, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your request to God.
Let's break that down a bit. It gives a clear path, doesn't it, instead of anxiety?
Turn to prayer.
Yes. Direct conversation with God. Laying out your specific worries, that's the petition part.
Okay.
But also, crucially, doing it with thanksgiving. Cultivating gratitude.
Even when you're anxious.
Especially then, perhaps. And the promise attached is remarkable. And the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds.
Wow, peace that guards you, like a shield.
A peace that actively protects your thoughts and emotions, even when circumstances don't make sense. A peace beyond logic.
That Thanksgiving part feels really important. It's not just asking, it's also remembering the good, right?
Absolutely. Gratitude is so powerful for shifting our focus. When you consciously look for blessings, even tiny ones, amidst the hardship, it can actually disrupt those negative thought loops that fuel anxiety.
Change the channel in your head, sort of?
Kinda, yeah. And then there's that really simple, direct invitation in 1 Peter 5.7.
Oh, I know this one.
Cast all your anxiety on him because he cares for you.
Just cast it, like throwing something heavy off your shoulders.
Exactly. It's an invitation to literally hand over those burdens you're carrying, trusting that he cares enough to take them.
Such a powerful image. Okay, so we have these incredible teachings, these examples. How do we actually weave them into daily life, when anxiety starts creeping up? What are some tangible things?
Well, the most fundamental, I think, is prayer itself. Not just reciting words, but that genuine connection.
Talking to God.
Talking to God, voicing your fears, asking for guidance, just finding that solace. And like we said, weaving in gratitude, that can be really transformative. Imagine actively looking for things to thank God for, even when you feel totally overwhelmed by anxiety.
That really shifts the perspective, doesn't it? Instead of just letting the anxiety consume your thoughts.
Right. You're choosing to communicate it, to bring it into the light, instead of letting it fester.
Okay, what about trust? Specifically, trusting God's timing. That's a tough one when you're anxious now and want a solution now.
Oh, it's incredibly challenging.
Yeah.
But trust is just. It's a cornerstone of faith when dealing with anxiety. It means acknowledging there's a bigger picture, maybe a plan, a timing we can't see from our limited viewpoint.
Like the Israelites in the desert you mentioned earlier.
Exactly like them. They had to rely on God daily for manna. They couldn't hoard it, couldn't control the supply.
They just had to trust it would be there tomorrow.
They had to trust. Applying that to our anxieties, trusting there's a guiding hand, even in the uncertainty, it's difficult, no doubt, but it can also be incredibly freeing.
Freeing from that need to have all the answers right now, which can definitely fuel anxiety.
Yes, which leads to the idea of surrender.
Surrender. That sounds passive, maybe, but maybe it isn't.
No, I don't think it's passive at all. It's an active, courageous choice. It's consciously releasing our tight grip on things we ultimately can't control.
And placing trust somewhere else.
Placing trust in God's wisdom, his care. Think of a small child completely trusting their parent.
Yeah, they don't understand mortgages or world events.
No, they just trust their parent will protect and provide. Surrender in faith is a bit like that, trusting a higher wisdom that sees beyond our immediate fears.
That makes a lot of sense. It's a conscious decision, even when things feel unclear. Okay, what about our thoughts? Anxiety loves to trap us in those worry loops.
It does, and faith offers tools for renewing our minds, actively choosing to replace anxious thoughts with truth grounded in faith.
Like affirmations or scripture?
Exactly. Maybe memorizing verses about peace or hope, reflecting on God's faithfulness.
Yeah.
Consciously redirecting your thoughts away from fear and towards trust. It's like reprogramming that internal dialogue.
Replacing the fear narrative with a hope narrative.
You could put it that way, yes.
Yeah.
Intentionally cultivating different thoughts.
Okay. And I remember the idea of serving others also came up. How does focusing outwards help with internal anxiety?
Well, acts of service, kindness. They're central to faith, right?
Oh, yeah.
And they can have a really profound effect on our own anxiety.
Oh, so?
When we shift focus off ourselves and onto the needs of others, it fosters a sense of purpose, connection.
Gets you out of your own head.
Exactly. It reminds you you're part of something bigger, and it can buffer against that isolation and worry that often comes with anxiety. It breaks the cycle of self-focused worry.
I can see that, putting your own problems in perspective, maybe. In community, the role of a spiritual community.
Oh, hugely important. A spiritual community provides, well, vital support, a sense of belonging.
People who get it.
People who share the journey, who can pray with you, encourage you. Knowing you're not alone in the struggle, that makes a massive difference. It counters the isolation.
It's like having backup, fellow travelers.
Precisely.
We've talked about the biblical side, but it's also powerful thinking about how this plays out in real lives today. You hear stories, or maybe you feel it yourself. That person caught in just that relentless worry, the weight on their chest. And then maybe through praying consistently, practicing gratitude, even when things are still hard, they start to feel these moments of calm unexpected stillness.
Yes, that shift from the whirlwind of thoughts.
Right,
Yeah.
to maybe a quiet confidence. Or someone facing huge uncertainty, but they dive into Scripture, focus on God's promises, and find this renewed hope. It's not just theory, is it?
And not all. It's a lived reality for so many.
Yeah.
You can almost sense that internal shift happening.
Yeah.
But we have to be realistic too.
Yeah, that's crucial. Having faith doesn't mean anxiety just disappears forever. Poof.
Absolutely not. It's not a magic wand. It's more like, well, like we've been saying, it's a framework. It's tools, principles, practices.
Things that help you navigate it when it does show up, find strength in it.
Find strength and solace, yes. And it's also so important to say, seeking professional help for anxiety, that's not contradictory to faith at all.
No, definitely not.
Our spiritual health and our mental health, they're intertwined. Sometimes the best path involves both faith-based practices and professional support. They can work together.
Complementary, not exclusive. That's a really important point. Okay, so as we kind of wrap up this deep dive, what are the main things for someone listening, someone wrestling with anxiety and looking to faith?
I think the key takeaways are that faith offers these really profound, enduring resources. There's the power of prayer, that direct connection, that release. There's cultivating deep trust, even in uncertainty.
Immersing yourself in Scripture.
Yes, reshaping your thinking with those truths. Finding strength in community. Shifting focus through serving others. It's all about consciously choosing to anchor yourself in something bigger, more steadfast than the anxiety itself.
That's well put. So here's maybe a final thought for you to consider. How could consistently nurturing your spiritual connection, whatever that looks like for you, how could that start to reshape your experience with anxiety? Could it open the door to maybe a deeper, more resilient kind of peace, even when life throws those storms your way? Think about those examples we talked about, the practical steps. How might weaving those into your own life, your own way, become a source of real strength and maybe lasting calm?